followers. Thanks so much for viewing. My name is Jenny Walton. Abu Kabar. I hope you're all doing well.
Eksklusif dari New York, Nona bersama Jenny Walton, iaitu fashion influencer, illustrator dan pengarah kreatif terkemuka.
At the Sartorialist, we're a team, Scott and I. He's very into menswear right now, and so I kind of concentrate.
Sempena sambutan Hari Wanita, Jenny Walton berkongsi aspirasi Kerjaya dan kisah kolaborasi dengan jenama Pretty Ballerinas. Topik COVID-19 menjadi mukadimah kami.
For me, I'm somebody who got used to traveling quite a bit. I used to travel a lot for the different fashion weeks in Europe, and that was something that I really enjoyed, and I got a lot of inspiration walking around the different cities. So it was a big change in my routine to just be in New York all the time, even though New York is a lovely city. I had grown accustomed to that change of going from place to place. So staying home all the time at first was definitely an adjustment. Not being able to see the people that you work with. And not being able to go to vintage stores to look for inspiration and touch and feel things in real life. It's definitely been an adjustment, but there's so much you can do online now that I kind of transitioned and made that shift. For me, my mother has always been such an inspiration in terms of her craft and her visual sense. She's an amazing quilter, and when we were growing up, every wall in our house was always filled with quilts that she had made and wall hangings, and she would take us to state fairs where she would win ribbons for her beautiful quilts. And so when myself and my two sisters, when we were growing up, we would always go down the basement where she had her big kind of sewing area and just piles and piles of fabric, and she would teach me and my friends and my sisters how to embroider, how to do a lot of different handcrafts. She made a lot of the clothes for my dolls, so she taught me really early on how to create things from nothing. And then when I was in high school, I started taking clothing construction classes and started building up my knowledge, and then went to Parsons for fashion design. My mother took us to a lot of flea markets, antique markets on the weekends. She's a school teacher, so in the summer she had off, and we would go to different huge, flea markets in New Jersey where I'm from, and she'd give us each like $5 and tell us to go for it. And so actually when I was quite young, probably around 10 years old, I started collecting 1950s kitchenware like Pyrex and all of these things with wonderful actually daisy and floral motifs. So I think that's kind of also where I started that love of that kind of 1950s floral motif, which has kind of run throughout my work so far. It's something that's very inspiring to me. I would say Pretty Ballerinas is classic, timeless, and definitely very chic. And that's something that we were very excited to do in this collection. I took a lot of inspiration from the different daisy jewelry that I have made. I make a lot of vintage-inspired clip-on earrings that I'm wearing today. And this bracelet, which was actually the first piece of jewelry that I made about a year and a half ago. So the idea was, how do you take those different motifs, those different floral motifs that I've worked with before, but translate them into ballerina flats? So Pretty Ballerinas already had a lot of great classic shapes that I was able to work with. And so one of those shapes we used to create my favorite shoes from the collection, which are the crystal flower ballerina shoes. So here we have different Swarovski crystals that we've done in all of these fun different colorways. This one I love. I think this one might be my favorite, but it's hard to choose. It's this beautiful periwinkle blue, and then this dusty rose Swarovski. So the motif here is also floral, but a little bit more abstracted into just, the 7 little circles. We also took more direct inspiration with the printed ballerina flat and these I really love this one because it's so foldable and squishable. And it's really easy to you could put, if they come in a carrying case, you could do that, but you know, you could easily just wrap a hairband around it and pop it in your purse. And if you get tired of wearing your heels, you could just pop these on. So these I definitely love. And then another way that we worked with the daisy and floral motif, I created this pattern of 2 different floral shapes, and so then we cut those into the leather. What I love about these is I actually think it really helps with breathability as well. I always get blisters when I'm wearing a new pair of shoes, as I wear them way too long and don't break them in at home first like I should. So I think this is a great way to get some ventilation in your shoes, but still having a really cute design. So I love these as well. I would say flats, they're pretty, you know, the only time you really just can't is in the harsh winters in New York. It's just way too cold. But in the fall and the spring, if it's not quite there yet, you can easily wear with jeans or a pair of leggings. You can get leggings in a bunch of different colors, or tights, you know, a nice opaque pair of tights. I usually do black, but you could do blue or yellow, or you could have so much fun with hosiery. And in the summer, I love to wear my flats with like little mini shift dresses in a very kind of 50s, 60s kind of style. I think that's kind of how I first started wearing flats when I was in middle school. I would go to Goodwill or a flea market and get like a vintage, you know, 50s or 60s mini dress and wear that with flats. And I think that's a formula that I've always kind of loved. For me, Pretty Ballerinas was the perfect collaboration. They respected that I have a background in design, and so they really just, you know, gave me their archive of shapes and let me just have fun and play with the different materials and come up with different ideas. As I mentioned, this is a more classic shape for them, and this is something that I love. I like a little bit of toe cleavage here, so I don't mind the toes showing just a tiny bit, but I do think it's kind of a trend right now to have a little bit more of a higher throat here. So I think this is something that we thought would be, you know, a nice variation, something a little bit more trendy to do this instead of this shape, and also to make it foldable, to make it a little bit more wearable and easy to bring with you. At the end of pretty much every day during quarantine, my husband and I sit on the couch with our 2 dogs, Charlie and Boffy, and we just watch probably too many hours of television and movies. We try to make it educational. We try to watch a lot of documentaries, watch a lot of films on Criterion, a lot of old Italian movies that can, you know, be visually stunning and also serve as inspiration. But you also get that coziness of being able to just sit on your couch and enjoy it and not have to go somewhere, because you can't really go that many places. So for me, it's always unwinding with a film or two at the end of the day, is when, you know, with my family there together, is a really nice way to kind of just put a cap on the day and start fresh the next day with lots of inspiration, hopefully. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening about my new collaboration, and I hope you love it as much as I do. And thank you to Pretty Ballerinas for letting me work on that, work with them on this great collaboration. And take care to everyone, and stay safe, and bye.